When we face overwhelming amount of stress, for example, in a very traumatic event, our nervous system locks your adrenergic system into the on position. Learning to calm your adrenergic system can help you with anxiety, sleep disorders, high blood pressure, fast heart rate, can help you with your immune system and indirectly with many gastrointestinal symptoms. A tool that is completely free, painless, natural, readily accessible with practically zero side effects. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Spirit. I'm your host, Dr. Diely Pichardo Johansson, retired board-certified hematologist-oncologist and twice cancer survivor. The stress response has several layers, and perhaps the simplest, known for a very long time now, is the fight or flight response. You may have heard of adrenaline or epinephrine. We have neurons in clusters around our body. The most famous of those are adrenal glands, those glands on top of our kidney, and the inside of our adrenal glands produce adrenaline that is released like a hormone into our bloodstream. It's a neurotransmitter/hormone is created for emergency situations. It prepares you for, like the name says, fight or flight, and if that fails, freeze. It makes your heart pump faster and stronger. It deviates the blood flow from the less vital places like the skin. That's why our hands get clammy and our skin gets cold when we're scared, and our bowels to the limbs so we can run. It dilates your pupils so you can see better in the dark. And this fast pumping of your blood distributes better the resources so you can react quickly. The problem is that the system is designed for a very short moment. And when we keep it going on, when the switch is stuck in the on position, it starts causing trouble in our lives. What are the bad things that can happen when your adrenaline system is out of whack? Well, if you have high blood pressure, your blood pressure can get worse. Actually, the white coat syndrome, when doctors stress out the patients and then the blood pressure goes up higher than it should be, is a real problem. If your heart's pumping fast and you have a loose coronary plaque, you can have an angina attack or a heart attack, an arrhythmia. There's all these irregular fast heart rhythms that can be triggered. But there is a lot more subtle than that. Now it is known that when your blood supply is being deviated from your bowels, you can potentially be disrupting your microbiome, which is beyond gastrointestinal symptoms, is related to a whole milieu of inflammation and immunity balance in your body. Not to mention that jittery effect that comes with adrenaline. So having an adrenergic system out of whack can lead to lots of problems. And learning to calm your adrenergic system can help you with anxiety, sleep disorders, high blood pressure, tachyarrhythmias, fast heart rate, can help you with your immune system and indirectly with many gastrointestinal symptoms. How can we regulate your adrenergic system? Stay till the end and we'll tell you how. So now that we know the trouble that come when our adrenergic systems are out of whack, what can we do to modulate them? When you talk to a doctor about controlling the adrenergic system, they would go immediately to beta blockers to block the receptors where adrenaline binds. And they use them for several conditions: to slow down your heart rate, to protect you from heart attacks. Beta blockers are great medications if you have coronary heart issues. The problem is that you're only masking the effect of adrenaline in a specific receptor of your heart. We're not doing anything about the adrenaline that is blocking our bowels, affecting our microbiome, affecting your immune system. Not to mention, beta blockers have all sorts of side effects, from impotence to asthma trigger and masking the effect of low blood sugar, among others. So what are the natural, healthy, free ways to modulate your adrenaline, your excess fight or flight response? First, if you are into wellness, you have probably researched some natural solutions called plunging, for example, something that I do not ever intend to try. I am from a tropical island. Please give me warm water any day. By submitting the body to small amounts of stress, you can become more resilient to stress. It's a short-term limited hormesis type of stress that makes your body more able to handle the adrenaline later. But then let's talk about the most dramatic ways you can impact your adrenergic system. Please take a moment to subscribe to this channel. When you share this video, when you like it, when you comment, you are helping us change the conversation and shift the consensus reality in the world. Thank you. It means a lot to me. Now, back to the show. But then let's talk about the most dramatic ways you can impact your adrenergic system. I'm going to give you a few of them, and the first ones are going to be incredibly effective but challenging. And then I'm going to give you one that is the laziest man way that you can start doing right away. The first one I want to mention is probably only available in a perfect world, and it is from trauma processing. Please remember, we are all different. I consider myself to fall in the 20% of the population called highly sensitive individual. Amounts of stress that would be regular for the general population have much larger consequences. It is well known that when we face overwhelming amount of stress, for example, in a very traumatic event, our nervous system, if it's unable to process that event, the stress becomes deposited in the body, locks your adrenergic system into the on position, and has all sorts of consequences in your health. That is the principle of the Bible of Trauma, a book everybody should read that's called The Body Keeps the Score. Let me give you an example of what I mean. There is a very interesting experiment reported by Dr. Peter Levine that describes what happens to a possum. When a possum is attacked in nature, goes to the extreme of the fight or flight response, the third F, freeze. The possum plays dead. After the predator leaves and the possum knows it's safe, they observe that the possum goes through a micro seizure. It shakes all over, and all that powerlessness, paralysis gets it out of the body through these strong shaking movements. And then the possum gets all happy and goes play again. We humans don't do that enough. Very often, the trauma that damages us is the stress that we were unable to face when we felt powerless, when we could not react and defend ourselves. And unfortunately, that is most of the big T trauma out there. In a perfect world, we would all have a chance to get that energy out of our bodies. And we can extrapolate that to the little traumatic events of life, like a very frustrating boss or a very ugly event in the news. In a perfect world, every time we face a traumatic event, a stressful event, we would go do what the possum does. We would find a way to shake it out of our bodies. We would scream, we would yell, we would jump, we would journal, we would vent, we would go to therapy. Whatever it takes to process the trauma when it's immediate before it settles in. That would potentially prevent that accumulation of stress that eventually locks our adrenergic system in the on position. Maybe that's why ancient tribes might have been healthier than us. They had their rituals, they had their dances, they had ways to shake these emotions out of their bodies. So I didn't say it was going to be easy. I just said it was simple. Trauma processing. You may say that takes a lot of time. That means therapy. If I already have an old trauma, that means a lot of commitment. So let's continue going in the other tools. The second one may surprise you and is brutal truth telling. Another book I highly recommend and I loved is The Way of Integrity by Martha Beck, and she explains this very well. Our bodies hate lying. How do you think lie detectors work? They detect changes in our heart rate, in our blood pressure, in our respiration rate. Our bodies get restless. Our adrenaline rises when we are lying, unless you are a complete psychopath. And most of us are lying to ourselves all through our lives, whether it is ignoring something that's going on in front of us that we don't agree with, or whether it is not accepting that we are in a doom relationship. It would be a complete different episode for us to talk about what to do in those situations. And I would be happy to pull my old life coach and talk about it. If you would like that, leave me a comment and let me know. But for now, just think about it. If you could sit down and at least acknowledge, tell the truth about what areas of your life you have been lying to yourself or telling a lie of omission, ignoring something that bothers you, even if you're not doing anything yet to correct it, that by itself starts unwinding that nervous response. Listen to me, this is not a joke. I believe that a lot of my health deterioration began with me not speaking out about the lack of integrity I was seeing around me in the medical community, starting with people I knew who were giving chemotherapy to inappropriate patients because of profit. So when you start admitting the lies that you are telling yourself in your life, even if you still cannot do anything about it, you are starting the process of unlocking your nervous system. And here you can also say, Diali, that's too much. I'm not ready. I just cannot do that. Don't worry. Take a deep breath. I'm going to tell you a very simple tool that you can do that it is completely free, painless, readily accessible, and you can start doing in only minutes. And in fact, I just did when I told you, take a deep breath. You're breathing. This is not the cliche of a mom telling the kindergartner, take a deep breath. This is not the hippie thing. Your breathing is the key to your nervous system. When you take deep breaths, especially when you hold it in and when you exhale longer than you inhale, you are stimulating your vagus nerve and your parasympathetic nervous system, the opposite of the adrenergic system that shuts it down. So, yes, any situation that you are facing, when you are feeling the stress rising in your body, if you take just a few moments to breathe deeply, you are already starting to neutralize the effects of adrenaline in your body. Bonus points if you do that for a few minutes while paying attention to your breath, because that doubles up with the most basic mindfulness meditation exercise. And just by being in the moment and blocking down the past and the future, the sources of anxiety and emotional history, you are separating pain and suffering. Modulating cortisol can help with diabetes, prediabetes, all the blood sugar disorders, can help you control abdominal belly fat, can help with sleep, with brain fog, and it potentially can preserve your muscle and bone mass. Definitely a good deal. The first tool I'm going to offer to model cortisol is going to sound too simple. And again, it's free, readily available. You don't have to pay to anybody, and you can start doing it right now.